All right, welcome to Talkin Ball with Pat Leonard. Special guest today, you already know, Super Bowl 50 champion Bennie Fowler, doing great work right now with DNVR Broncos over at the All City Network. Benny, thrilled to have you back on the show, a day oneer here on Talkin Ball.
Yes, sir, Pat. Good to see you, man. What's going on?
Nothing, doing well. Exciting football, watching the Giants in person, even though they're 0-2. We'll get to talking about that in a little bit, but at least was entertained down in Arlington with that 40-37 overtime shootout. Obviously, I really respect everything that you bring as far as analysis on the NFL here on Talking Ball with Pat Leonard, brought to you by MyBookie, Hooks, Rubs, and Spices, Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, and Salaretta for Men. So, Benny, what we're going to do today is buy and sell. We're going to go through the league. I'm going to ask you if you buy a storyline or a development, or if you are selling it, if you're not buying it, and why. And we're going to start with your Broncos opponent, Daniel Jones, the former Giants quarterback, shining in the first 2 weeks, 616 total yards, 5 touchdowns, a 71.4 completion percentage. Benny, you got to see Daniel against the Broncos this weekend. Obviously, you also know him well, having played with him. Are you buying or selling Daniel Jones turning his career around now that he's with Shane Steichen in Indianapolis?
No turnovers, right?
No turnovers.
Yeah, 5 touchdowns, no turnovers, over 600 yards. They haven't punted. I'm definitely buying Shane Steichen in the way that he has worked with Daniel. Obviously, this is very early on in the season. You're a couple weeks in. So right now, I am for sure buying it just based off the fact that the way that Shane Steichen was scheming people open. When you watch the film and you go back and look at the all 22 film, Shane Steichen does a great job of scheming these players open, whether it's Michael Pittman, whether it's Pierce at receiver or Downs out of the slot. And obviously they have Tyler Warren. They just used all these guys in very different ways. Not a lot of people throw at Pat Surtain, and DJ threw at Pat Surtain 4 or 5 times and completed those passes. Now, there was still sticky coverage, but, DJ and Shane Steichen, they aren't afraid of anything. Downs out of the slot. Obviously, Shane Steichen is, and some of these other coordinators are finding different ways to use this motion where it's almost like a running start for these guys that are coming across in this jet sweep motion, and then they take off. They time up the snap and take off. And I don't know how you stop that right now. You saw Green Bay do it against the Commanders. You're seeing San Francisco do it. I think Miami started that a couple of years ago, but Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones have got off to a hot start. I think DJ's throwing the ball really well. I think he's, making smart decisions, and it shows what can happen if you have great coaching and then also a great supporting staff. I think the Colts offensive line is a great offensive line, and then you have an incredible and dynamic running back in Jonathan Taylor, who made some big plays against the Broncos. So I'm buying DJ stock right now.
So it sounds like you're saying Steichen is helping give Daniel some good answers to the test, pre-snap, things like that. Can definitely.
Pre-snap and just creativity. I mean, lining Tyler Warren up at fullback and then inserting him through, I think the A or B gap to run a over route. How are you going to stop that? And they did a great job. Shane Steichen did a great job of just exploiting different matchups. The Broncos, I think, struggle. Their linebackers struggle in coverage, and that's where they were attacking, was just the middle of the field and getting the Broncos into positions. It felt like that they knew that Shane Steichen knew and told Daniel, hey, this is what you're going to get on this play, and this is where to go with the ball. And he was super efficient with it.
One more question about Daniel. He mentioned, and I think it was his press conference after the first game, he mentioned that even spending a couple months with O'Connell in Minnesota really helped him kind of change the way that he approached studying the position and understanding the position. And I think, Benny, outside looking in, I think a lot of people hear that and they say, even if we know this guy, O'Connell, is a great coach in Minnesota, how could 1 or 2 months with a coach do that much? But just for you, having played in the league and worked with some really good coaches, is it possible for that to happen? Like just to get your eyes opened to a different way of looking at your position or at the game, and it can really kind of click something?
100%. I mean, you have to think about it. Yeah, it can only be 2 or 3 months, but it's 2 or 3 months, 7 days a week, 8 hours, 9 hours a day. I mean,
Mm.
it's a lot of time spending with the coach. I remember my first 3 months here in Denver, and I went back to Michigan State to work out before the start of preseason my rookie year, and my coaches at Michigan State couldn't believe the way that I was running routes and just how my body had transformed. But the 90 days that I was around in an NFL facility, that I was around Peyton Manning, Demaryius Thomas, Wes Welker, Emmanuel Sanders, you pick that up pretty fast. And if you're
Mm.
spending 8 hours a day with people and you're watching their study habits and they're teaching you the tricks of the trade, I mean, you can get better. You can get better really fast.
Mm. That's a good story too. So shifting to the other team on the sidelines in that game, a crazy ending, just like a lot of endings this week too. Your Denver Broncos now go into week 3, 1-1. And Benny, a lot of people, if they had a sleeper pick for either a team to win the Super Bowl or represent the AFC, it was the Broncos for good reason, a very talented roster. So far in these first 2 weeks, which looked like favorable matchups, they were in a dogfight with the Tennessee Titans, and now they fall and really shoot themselves in the foot against the Indianapolis Colts. The Denver Broncos, maybe to some, look like a team that might have a hard time reaching the expectations that some have set for them preseason. But I ask you, who are much more of an expert on them than I am, are you buying or selling the Denver Broncos being in trouble as far as finding themselves at the end of this season where they want to be?
Yeah, I'm selling that. I don't believe that they are a Super Bowl contender yet. I think the Broncos will be what they were last year, 10-7. I think they have a good roster. I think Bo Nix is going into year 2. I wouldn't say a sophomore slump because he didn't play well in game 1, but he played a lot better in game 2. Three touchdowns in the first half. He still had the one turnover in the second half, but I didn't really buy them as a Super Bowl contender. I think they're on the rise when it comes to the roster that they're putting together. I think Sean is continuing to figure out how to use these different playmakers. He's got Troy Franklin, who had just had a breakout game as a second year receiver, 8 catches for 89 yards. You got Cortland Sutton. You're trying to figure out how to get Evan Ingram into the game plan, somebody who's a dynamic playmaker that you know well and that I know well, but they
Mhm.
haven't figured that out yet. You got a young running back in RJ Harvey that you drafted in the second round, and then you got J.K. Dobbins. They're trying to figure it out.
Mm.
Defense is supposed to be the anchor right there, but they got picked on all day last week, and it's one thing for these people to have predictions because of how the Broncos played last year and they surprised a lot of people, but they're not going to surprise anybody this year. So people are ready for that. They've had a whole year to scheme up Vance Joseph's defense and they're trying to find ways to exploit the matchups. It's going to be hard to go at Pat Surtain because he's the best corner in the NFL, but there's another side of the field. So Riley Moss is getting a lot of attempts his way. The linebackers, they're trying to take advantage of the linebackers in coverage. So it's going to be hard. I mean, the Chargers are already 2-0 in the division and 2-0 period. So
Mhm.
now that AFC West game against the Colts, or not AFC West game, but AFC game against the Colts, it might come back to haunt them later on in the season. It's a positive for the Broncos that they got Joe Burrow coming in here in a couple weeks, but that he's not coming in, he's not playing anymore. So
Right,
there are
right.
some positives there, but yeah, I'm selling the fact that they were a Super Bowl team. I didn't think that they were.
Got you. All right. Great analysis. Like I said, everybody, you can find Benny on DNVR Broncos, the All City Network, breaking down Denver's football team every week, every game day. Go check him out there. All right. Over to the New York Giants, our New York Giants. Benny, Russell Wilson in this game against the Dallas Cowboys. First quarterback to throw for 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 73% completion percentage in the same game since Joe Burrow in 2022. The Giants only had 6 points in their first loss to Washington, 21-6. He comes out, lights it on fire. They don't win the game, but he puts up big numbers. My question to you is buy or sell. Russell Wilson has revitalized his career and is going to continue to produce like this for the Giants here in this 2025 season.
I'm not buying that at all. I'm definitely selling that. I think he had a incredible performance I think he played really well. Obviously, he was super efficient, but Dallas's defense isn't good at all. So, you know, they gave up a lot of yards in week 1. They gave up some explosives, obviously, this past weekend. I mean, Malik Neighbors is the best player on the New York Giants, and what do you have, 167 yards or something like that?
Yeah,
Like, they
2
didn't do
touchdowns, yeah.
anything to stop him, blown coverages. So I'm not buying the fact that Russell Wilson has revitalized his career. I think he's a capable veteran. I think he's been around the league for a long time, but I'm not buying that performance. 350, yeah, no.
Yeah, they go into the Kansas City Chiefs here in week 3. Sticking on the Giants really quickly, their defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen, catching a lot of heat because at the end of the game, they were rushing forward, playing drop coverage, which really is his scheme against the Cowboys. And that allowed Brandon Aubrey to get into his very deep field goal range for a 64-yard game tying field goal and then a 40-some yarder to win it in OT. My question here is, all the Giants fans want to fire the defensive coordinator. They want to blame somebody, and they're sick because they feel like the talent is too good on that side of the ball for the defense to give up 40 points like this. I would just ask you, from your experience in the league, does firing a DC this early in the season, can that fix a team's problems like that with a snap of the finger? Or does that just reflect kind of panic internally and not solve anything quickly enough?
I don't think firing the defensive coordinator does anything for your franchise, anything for the players in that locker room. I think when you go to fire somebody, you are basically just kind of giving up. I think they got to get on the same page. I think there needs to be not necessarily a level of accountability, but just open dialogue and conversation. If players aren't comfortable with running that scheme, how can they actually have that feedback for the DC to change things up? Or, hey, coach, we really like running this coverage, and maybe they question him a little bit more. And maybe Brian Daboll questions, what that scheme was. Like, why are you playing that coverage? Yeah, you gave up a lot of points, but Dallas they got a pretty good receiving core over there, and Dak is a very capable quarterback. He's been capable no matter who the defensive coordinator is on the New York sideline. So, Dak's beat the Giants 13 straight times. So I don't know why the Giants fans would be calling for somebody to get fired right now. It's not like they beat the Cowboys with Dak under center. So what are we really saying here?
Right. No, I agree with you, but that is the hottest topic in the tri-state area out east right now.
Got to blame
One,
somebody.
yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. One more question about the Giants, but the league at large too. Jameis Winston said all the right things. We talked to him last week. Said hi to him for you. Obviously, his eyes lit up when I mentioned Bennie Fowler, as most people's do. But Jameis right now says all the right things about how he's going to do the most with his situation right now. He likes where he is. He wants to help Jackson. He's going to be diplomatic behind Russell Wilson, but he's also honest that I want to play. And he believes still that he's one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. My question to you is there an opportunity out there right now as you look around? There's the Bengals with Joe Burrow going down. There's the New Orleans Saints, even though Spencer Rattler threw some touchdowns the other day. There's the Niners, even though Mac Jones threw 3 TDs with Brock Purdy going down. There's a lot of teams out there with already seeing QB injuries, even the Minnesota Vikings with McCarthy. So my question for you is, do any of them make you light up when you hear that that's an opportunity and that maybe Jameis could take most advantage of that if the Giants were to let him out?
San Francisco, no. Minnesota, maybe. I think Cincinnati for sure, just because they need to find somebody who can sling the ball with the weapons that they have over there. The only thing that people are going to bring up is Jameis's turnovers, but I think that's something that you just kind of have to live with. He's a gunslinger. He goes out there and he tries to make a play because he knows he can make a play. I think Jameis is going to continue to do the right thing, and who knows about the injury situations across the league. And then you also have to just have, God forbid something happened to Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart steps in there, but you need a backup for him. So, you got a couple capable people, a couple capable quarterbacks in that room. So I don't know. It's just so hard to
Yeah.
know.
No, for sure. Yeah, to your point, it could change week to week. What's interesting, you prepped me going back to last year before he was even on the Giants' radar about what kind of teammate he was. And Benny, like he looks like he's coaching the team during the games. Like he's stepping out onto the field to calm James Hudson when he's committing all those penalties during the first drive against the Cowboys. He's the one standing by himself with Hudson, counseling him. He's in Dart's ear. He's pumping up the defense. Does he have that real of an impact on game days for a team, whether he's in the game or not?
Yeah, Jameis is a unique personality. I think he's the quarterback version of Sterling Shepard. When you think about Sterling Shepard, if he was playing or if he wasn't playing, if he's going to be on the sideline and he wears the same colors as you, he is going to go to bat for you. And Jameis is that way. We were teammates in New Orleans. And number one, there's nobody in the building earlier than him. He works hard. He dissects the film, but he loves football. And also the level of success that he's had throughout his career, although he might not have won a Super Bowl, he won a Heisman, he won a national championship, and he was the first overall pick. And he's thrown for 5,000 yards a couple times. Most of the yards that Mike Evans has in his career came from Jameis Winston. So he's led the league in passing. He's led the league in interceptions. He's seen a lot. He can add a lot of different perspectives to really help players. And I think that's why, and that's his gift, is to give back and give perspective.
It has been fun having him around. Selfishly, hope he doesn't get traded so he can stick around. But also, the league is more fun when he's playing too. So it's a back and forth there. All right, another buy and sell. Benny, I'm just going to give it to you. The Chiefs are 0-2. The Chiefs come in here in MetLife Stadium, desperate against the Giants. But the Kansas City Chiefs, the great Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, they're 0-2. The Chiefs are dead. The Chiefs are no longer a contender to be reckoned with. Buy or sell?
Sell that. I mean, they could go on. They can win 15 in a row. I'm not saying they are going to, but no, I sell that. They got beat by the Chargers. Mahomes played well, but yeah, I don't think there's that Chiefs fear factor anymore. But I sell that. They'll still make the playoffs. They'll end up trading for Tyreek Hill here in the next couple of weeks, I believe. That's my little bold prediction out there. They reunite, and because they need that type of weapon. I think when you look back at great quarterbacks throughout their entire career, they need a resurgence in terms of the weapons that they throw to. Travis Kelce isn't done yet, but he's not who he used to be. The other receivers there aren't creating the type of separation. You need dynamic playmakers. What did Brady get after they won 3 Super Bowls and then they went a couple years without winning one? They traded for Randy Moss. I mean, and then Brady, MVP, leads the league in passing and touchdowns, breaks a touchdown record. So you're going to have to do that for Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, Rashid Rice is coming back, but you still need another who's going to be that catch and run guy, that Tyreek Hill type that you had a couple years ago. He's got a couple years left on his deal. I think they end up trading for him and finding that type of playmaker.
I like it. Yeah, they absolutely need to trade for a receiver, even with Worthy expected to come back off the injury. That would be the most intriguing one for Tyreek to go. And certainly the Dolphins look like a team that might as well be sellers anyway, not just because of the Tyreek Tua and stuff, but right. Also, like it's not going anywhere, right? So just get him out of there, get something for him before it's too late, while he's still healthy, all that stuff. Yeah. I totally agree. All right, 2 other quick questions. One, this popped up coming off of the Monday night game, Benny, where the Chargers beat the Raiders. It opened a lot of eyes that Tom Brady, the great Tom Brady, 7-time Super Bowl champion, who was calling games for Fox as a partial owner of the Raiders, was actually in the coach's box with a headset on during the game. Now, Pete Carroll has said he doesn't help us with game planning, and the league came out with a statement that basically said this doesn't violate anything. He's not allowed to be in meetings during the week. He's not allowed to help game plan, participate in that stuff, but we have no problem with this. Do you have a problem with that? Or do you think it would be valid for another team to have a problem with that? For example, Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers, other teams in the division.
I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, he's listening. He's in the booth. He's listening to whatever their team is calling. Who really cares? If you have a problem with Tom Brady and his ownership and his piece in all of this, when he is working with Fox and he has to do an interview, don't answer any questions or just decline the interview with Tom Brady. It's pretty much that simple. If you don't want to give him any inside information and you feel like it's unfair, then don't don't interview with him. And I'm sure he'll be fine with that. It's a part of the job, but he's the owner of the team. I saw one of the Irsay daughters listening to their plays on the sideline with her headset in, and obviously she's not calling games for Fox like Tom is, but I don't see any problem with it.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe it's just the optics of it are different. And also, like you said, everybody, people on different teams, they might feel like, is he gaining an edge and maybe be vindictive in return? But
how's he going to gain an edge? You'd have to know their personnel, and you'd have to know their signals and all their calls. He doesn't have the playbook, and he's like, oh, yeah, I'm listening on the headset, and they just said dice right 52X mesh. Like they didn't. And then now he goes to let them know, like, he's listening to the headset of their calls. It's not like he knows. If he's not in any of the game planning meetings and doesn't have a playbook, he doesn't know what's going on.
That's fair. Well, they might need him in the game plan meetings this week because that Monday night offensive performance. Gino's my guy. I love Gino, but
they had
it was a tough
opportunities,
one.
man. They had opportunities.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, last question from me. Again, thanks for your time. We always love having you here on Talkin Ball. You're the man. I did not get your Super Bowl prediction preseason on the record. We're 2 weeks in, but I still want to get it from you. I'm going to give you mine. Mine was Eagles repeating over the Ravens. I wanted to give it to Baltimore. I remember like their meeting last season. It always feels like I underestimate what the Eagles lines are able to do controlling those games. I will say the one qualifier is 2 weeks in, the Packers look mighty good and even way better than I thought they were going to, but I'm going to stick with Eagles over Ravens. Who do you have?
Packers versus Chiefs.
Who wins?
Chiefs.
You have the 0-2 Chiefs winning the Super Bowl.
Yes. Yes. Saquon repeats as Offensive Player of the Year.
He was my Super Bowl MVP. I had Lamar Jackson as my MVP.
Lamar's my MVP. Micah Parsons, Defensive Player of the Year.
Wow. The Kansas City Chiefs. So, Benny, I don't know why I don't learn from you. Like, this is the third year in a row. So 3 years ago, Benny says to me on this podcast, at some point early in the season when I start downing the Chiefs, he's like, Pat, he's Pat Mahomes, man. Remember this. And then late in the season, they're the Chiefs, win the Super Bowl, whatever. Last year, it's the same thing. Me showing doubt, you reminding me it's the Chiefs, it's Reed, it's Spagnuolo, it's Mahomes. And now here you are again, recentering me.
They figure things out on the fly. So they're 0-2, but they're like figuring it out. And they're like, oh, we need to change this, and this, or we need to trade for this type of player. And then it's game over. Like they're great with adjusting. They're not a team that's stuck in their ways. I do think one of the things that they need to change, they need to bring Eric Bieniemy back. Patrick Mahomes has not been the same at quarterback since he left. Matt Nagy, great coach, and was there early before he went to become the head coach at Chicago. But I think they need Bieniemy back. I won't be surprised if they end up finding a way to get him back. Not obviously this season, but over the next year or so, need that type of accountability from him as a coach.
Is there something specific in Patrick's game you notice that's different, or you just think overall the play has tapered off?
Just the play. His overall play, the way they're just running things. I think Bieniemy, they miss him.
My only holdup with your Chiefs pick is late last season, Kelsey looked like, his legs are almost gone. And he doesn't look like the same player again to start this season. I know these guys are experts at getting themselves kind of to the big moments.
I'm not banking on them going to the Super Bowl with Travis Kelce being an integral part.
Gotcha. Yeah, you got Tyreek coming back and them really not leaning on the tight end and Rashee Rice. Got it.
I'm not banking on Kelce being a focal point at all. He might have 57 catches this year, and that might be it. He'll come up big in those moments, but they need catch and run guys. They don't need deep threats. They threw a deep touchdown the other day, but they need catch and run guys.
Oh man, the NFL world will be so excited when the Kansas City Chiefs evolve again and get back to the Super Bowl. That'll make so many people outside of Kansas City happy.
It's going to piss a lot of people off, but it is what it is.
Benny, you're the man. Thank you so much for coming on Talkin Ball. Again, guys, sponsored by MyBookie, Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink. Hooks, rubs, and spices, and Salaretta for men. Go to the YouTube channel, PL on NFL. You can find the discount codes for all of our sponsors to support them. And thanks for supporting the podcast. Benny, thanks again.
Appreciate you, Pat.